Hello and welcome back, friends. This is the Ridgeview POD, where we try to cover everything hope, healing, and recovery related. It is my great pleasure. This is long overdue. This is episode 100. I can't believe we're recording a 100th episode. There's no person that is better suited to join me for this episode than the man, the co-host on episode 1, the infamous Brandon Knight.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be back here, and it has been 4.5 years.
I can't believe it, man.
It's incredible that we've been running this podcast for 4.5 years, and thank you guys for encouraging us and keeping it going.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think earlier in the year, we passed each other in the hall, and I'm like, man, we're like 25 episodes away from 100. When we get there, you got to come back on. And now we're here. So, do you remember when we did that first episode?
I do. It was January of 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was freezing outside.
Yes. And then we had contraptions everywhere. We've really streamlined this process now. We're two knuckleheads. We didn't know what we were doing. But
didn't we have like 4 other people helping us back then to get all the tech set up?
Absolutely. And the whole idea back then, we were both part of a COVID response team here at Ridgeview. And one of the ideas was we need to be creating opportunities for connection. Everyone was still so isolated. People were still masking.
Right.
Everything was moving to a televideo, telehealth kind of format. But we were wanting to create avenues of connection for people where the people that we serve could maybe connect with us. We could provide some content around helpful messages during a very tough time during the pandemic. So the intent was, I thought it was very noble and good. And along the way, I thought we had some fun episodes.
We did. Some that I got to participate in and several that I didn't. But I'll tell you what's really cool when you talk about that level of connection is I've heard people from our psychosocial rehabilitation program. I've heard people from other agencies mention that they enjoyed watching some of these podcasts. So again, 4.5 years, and the fact that it's branched out to that level, that it's not something you just see in our lobby. Yeah. It's something that other people are benefiting from. It's such a super cool message.
Yeah, there are some that always stand out to me, like when you and I talked about books.
Yeah.
And you brought in Michael J. Fox book that we talked about. A lot of cool stuff. But I guess I thought it'd be neat just to revisit our first episode, which was Hope is a Muscle, which has now had close to 250 views.
Thank you again.
Yes, indeed. What do you remember about that episode?
I think we talked, the concept is pretty clear. Hope is a muscle. So we talked about how you could strengthen and condition that muscle, support systems that you would put in place to kind of have like a gym of sorts, to be able to practice and train. I believe we talked a little bit about not falling into the comparative trap of, looking at somebody your size or my size, and then looking at somebody like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and saying, well, his muscle mass, right? The hope as a muscle isn't based on mass. And so it's dangerous to get into that mentality of thinking, you woke up this morning and you're just naturally optimistically hopeful, right? You are. That's who you are. But maybe I don't wake up that way every morning. And so should I get discouraged when we pass each other in the hallway and you're smiling and I'm still trying to find my groove for the day? It shouldn't be discouraging. What I need to do is rely on those supports that we're talking about until I find my way through that day. Until I condition that muscle for that day.
It's not a competition.
Right.
Hope is not a competition. Yeah. No, that's well said. And it is something, though, I think if I remember correctly, we were kind of playing off Krista Tippett in a a podcast that she did on being, maybe. My memory's a bit sketchy around that, but the idea that it's something that you can practice, you can train it up, and that still remains important today, just as it did back in 21 when we first did that episode.
Absolutely.
And I do think that is something I like to believe that Ridgeview holds dear, not only for the staff, but for the people we serve, is that, where people are priority, and, try to do what we can to cultivate, train up, practice hopeful messages, hopeful services, hopeful programs, so that we get stronger at it as time goes.
That's very well said. You wrote, I hope it's okay to bring that in, but you wrote a column not too long ago that got published, and I was reading it last night, and I took a quote away from it, so you certainly can explain your story better than I can. But at the end of it, you make this quote: "Together we can build a movement rooted in courage, healing, and connection." Mm-hmm. And I read your whole story, and it really was a nice, heartwarming story. But I got to that quote, and all I could think of in that moment, preparing for meeting with you today, was that's the gym. That's the gym we talked about in the first episode. Yeah. Building that network, utilizing those supports. And that, I think you're right. I mean, not to rah-rah Ridgeview, but it's something we do really well here for the people that we serve. Yeah. And it's a privilege.
Yes, I'm going to the gym. Yes, Ridgeview is the gym of hope. Come in, train, practice, get stronger at it. I love that. Yeah, that whole piece was, I'm trying to remember, there were a couple things happening at the same time, and I tapped into a memory that I had, and it was about failure, about wanting to quit. And you tend to learn more from your losses, your failures, your disappointments, your hardships than you do from a lot of your successes and victories. It seems like that's sort of kind of like how life goes. You really learn from being knocked down and getting back up. And this idea of quitting, I think everyone experiences times in their life where they want to quit, and it's a very human place to be. Mine happened to be in the arena of an endurance event, which brings upon you're at risk of getting dehydrated and having low energy, not thinking straight, all those things that are common with being in a state of I'm ready to quit. And we need people in our life when we get there, because we all get there, to remind us you're more capable of what you think you are in this moment. Don't quit, keep going, hang in there. This too shall pass.
Right.
That kind of stuff. And so the message was about surrounding yourself. Take inventory of who are your social supports in life. Are they the right people? Are they encouragers, supporters, people that will help you realize tomorrow will be better than today? An hour from now will be better than this moment.
Part of the message of your column that I thought was really cool, and I don't know if it was intended to be part of the message, but you talked about how in that moment when that fatigue had struck you and you were looking for that way out, that you had one guy, a close friend of yours, but one guy was there to say, no, not today. You don't quit. You keep moving, right? And I thought, going back to that Hope is a Muscle episode that we did, the episode number 1, that was a cool thing too, because we did talk about the competition, the comparative thing between muscle mass, right? And so maybe you need a higher level of supports. Maybe today you need to see your therapist and your care coordinator and go to one of our programs and hang out with some of your peers. But maybe tomorrow you don't need that. Maybe tomorrow you need one close friend. And so I think it is important to realize that that gym, that social network, those supports, it doesn't always have to be organizational. It doesn't have to be some systemic thing that you're following. It can be one person for 5 minutes to encourage you. And for some folks, I think that's a lot more attainable to find somebody on that level than it is to maybe breach how you're feeling today and come in and get new services started and things like that. So just having that one person, I thought that was a really cool message.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. There are these moments where you will discharge your agency of self-determination and give it to someone else. I don't know how or when that actually happens, what are the chemical changes going on in the brain, but it is weird that you can have experiences in life where whatever you say, I'm giving you my agency, my self-determination. And yeah, had Jim said, yes, absolutely, if you're done, you're done. But he didn't. He said, no, you gotta keep going. And so I did, and I finished, and I'm so grateful he said, not today, my friend. You gotta keep at it. Sometimes it is just that one person.
And not to be too personal, again, your story's not mine, but I believe you're competing in a fairly significant event again in the future because you got through that hurdle and now you're going on. So I think that's a good message too, that if you make it through that 5 minutes, that hour, if you give somebody that agency that you're talking about, the next choice will be yours, right? And it's empowering.
Exactly. I mean, in reverse, we too can be that one person where people in our lives are maybe really struggling and they turn to us. You can detect they're wanting to quit, they're wanting to stop. Sometimes in even a very fatalistic kind of, I'm ready to quit life. And we have to be those people in their life to say, no, let me help you. Let me help you transcend this moment of hopelessness, helplessness, of wanting to quit life, because tomorrow can be better than today. So, yeah, that's very cool. I'm glad you made that connection with the first episode and that recent article. Well, I mean, again, I don't know if there are other episodes that stick out to you as I look back, the Michael J. Fox episode. But what I really appreciate is, as I said, for two amateurs, I mean, we leaned into it with courage, and certainly we've refined the process a little bit. We don't put out as much content as we used to, but we do hope that for folks that do still watch, that there are some nuggets, some pearls that people can hold on to and that are helpful.
And there's plenty of data for you to go back and look through because, like Michael said, this is 100 episodes. So if you're bored, if you've got nothing to do today, get on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, pick a couple of episodes that you think might sound interesting from the title, and see how it goes. There is some really good stuff in there.
Yeah, and a lot of neat people. I cherish all the community partners, the staff who've participated in this process. I feel very lucky because I've met just some incredible people. Toward that end, one of the things that we evolved into in the last year is, and I think we were doing this after that first year, it was an opportunity to kind of get to know people, guests, in a less jobbish sort of way. So, and it was probably for some of my own self-gratification and learning about people, was rapid fire questions that we close out
boy.
episodes with. Yes.
Okay.
So, if
did
you
not
will,
prep me for this.
if you
All right.
will humor me, I'll give you a taste
Sure.
of some of the questions that I ask our guests at the end. If you could travel back in time, Brandon, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
It's going to be okay.
Beautiful. It's going to be okay. At 18, we could all hear that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
What a chaotic time.
Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Both.
All right. What decade of music is best?
Oh, wow. Now, see, you got to prep somebody for a question like that. 60s.
And give me a flavor of some of the musicians that you're thinking of.
Oh man, so much. You're coming out of the Great Depression era has already happened, but you've got that jazz and that rock that's really building here, and then rock is evolving during that period, right? Then you got ballad guys. You got smooth classical music coming back into style. You've got guys like Otis Redding talking about sitting on the dock of the bay. There's just such a plethora of different music, all kind of blending together at one time, and our culture just exploding with it. So I think you get to pick lots of little things from that decade.
Of all the people that I've asked that question to, no one has said the 60s.
Really?
Except you.
Okay.
So very astute observation by you. Greatest movie of all time?
Top Gun.
Wow. I mean, you didn't even need a second to think about it.
Nope.
Yeah. So are you a fan of Maverick?
100%. Yeah. Pete Mitchell's a boss.
Yeah. All right. Very good. One book you would recommend?
You know, I can't remember the name of it, which is horrible. But there was a book that I read probably 14 or 15 years ago, and the author, who is unfortunately passed now, but he was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. There was no cure, there was no hope for him, right? And so the whole book is actually about how he gets this prognosis, and he loses all of his hope. And then he turns and looks at his gym, his family, and he says, I could spend my last year being miserable and depressed and upset, or I could make all of these memories with my children and my wife, and I could do this thing. And so he just talks about actually over the course of his last year of life, how his hope increased every day because he knew the prognosis didn't change. But the memories and the experiences that he was building with his family, he may have not have gotten if he lived another 40 years, because would he have prioritized it, right? I wish I could remember the name of it. I'll look it up for you later.
Was it called The Last Lecture?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Way to go, man. Nicely done.
Yes.
It's a fantastic book.
I remember that one well. See how you're giving me goosebumps, man. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
It's sitting on my bookshelf at home, actually.
That is a great book. Great book. Okay, just a couple more. What is your favorite family vacation?
You know, that's interesting too. You don't get to do this rapid fire thing with me because I talk a lot. I've got family vacations with my oldest 2 sons who are now grown and out of the house that I really enjoyed. And so boys, don't take this the wrong way. But I just took a vacation back in February with my wife and my newish stepdaughters of the last 3 years, and my father-in-law, and we went to Disney in Florida, right?
Of course.
And I've been to Disney before that these girls had never been, and so watching their eyes light up at all of the different stuff, that's an experience as a parent you can't replicate, right? So honestly, that's, at least in recent memory, that is my favorite because it was just really a pleasure.
Yeah. No, that's last year about this time we went with our now adult children, and still through your children's eyes, even when they're adults, it was a cool experience. We'll chat about it some more when we're done here. But yeah, I see what you mean. If you were to host a dinner, name 3 guests, non-family, that you would invite, living or deceased.
Oh boy. Well, since we mentioned him on here, Michael J. Fox is an icon of mine. I really and I hope he hears this at some point, but I really admire the guy. Not only the personal struggles that he's been through, but his pure determination to overcome them. And we did do that episode on his book, which is a great read too, and focuses purely on gratitude. I think he would be a cool guy to hang out with. Not from a political standpoint necessarily, but Barack Obama, I think, would be an interesting, very well-educated guy to have a talk with. And probably my favorite musician of all time, Jim Morrison from The Doors.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah. So two living.
That'd be a cool conversation. Yes, absolutely. Well, Brandon Knight, thank you so much for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me.
It's your thumbprint is on this podcast each and every time we do it. We never would have gotten it off the ground had some other knucklehead not been willing to say, hey, let's give it a shot and see what happens.
Don't sell yourself short on being the architect either. You put all of this together. But more than anything, we keep doing this here because of you.
Yeah.
You keep watching, you keep subscribing. That tells us that there is a benefit that you're taking away from it. So again, thank you. And thank you for watching this one and celebrating 100 episodes with the two of us. It's a cool moment for us to share with you.
Perfect out. Thank you so much. Thank you. If you have not subscribed, please do so. Ring the bell. You'll get notified each and every episode. Take good care of yourself. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.